To the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, que pasa en el terreno. Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo. A huevo. Doesn't matter where you from. Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere. Todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos el programa, soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas. How are you guys out there? I know I'm on cloud nine because this LA Galaxy team is in first place. Just want to put that reminder out there. The first place Galaxy did their thing over the weekend. They survived the Cali Clásico, and now they are riding high ahead of their next match. Today, we'll be joined by Univision, CBS, and Televisa journalist Michelle Sanchez, who will be on the show to help us preview the Galaxy's first contest of the year against Austin FC, an away match at Q2 Stadium that could earn head coach Greg Vanney his first 3-game win streak with the Galaxy. Of course, I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon. You can find, well, actually, that's different now, Ananda. I don't know if I told you, but last word.
Breaking news?
Breaking news.
Okay.
Well, as you guys know out there, I used to write for a place called Last Word on Soccer. I say used to, not that I left, but they merged with their sister company. So now we're called Extra Time.
Okay.
Anyway, so now you guys can find my work at Extra Time. And of course, you can always find me online at El Escudero, the LA. And guys, I just blew the reveal. I said his name and I didn't give him his proper introduction. So let me do that right now. El Gitano Perdido, El Yerno Guapo, the first time away match going co-host, the one and only Anana Kirana. Papa, are you excited? Put it on a level 1 to 5 rings. How excited are you?
Let me put out a 6, Papa. Well, actually, no,
Ooh.
I'm going to take it back down to a 5. You know why? Because right before we got on this pod, you and I were talking about the weather, and that might be a tricky situation this weekend. But
you and I,
nice one. That's one for you.
That's a shot, I think, in Austin.
But I feel like the Mother Nature is going to be nice to us, and it should be okay for game time at least, or Saturday. But we're keeping a close eye on it. Hopefully, there's no repeat of that fabled rained out match that ended up stretching to like 6 or 7 hours last year. I'm sure we'll talk about that today as we count the steps. But yeah, I think we're okay. So I'm at a 5. I'm super excited. We've been talking about this for months now, ever since we booked the trip, right? So I'm just excited to honestly just to get that experience, man. And Austin, like you've said, is probably one of the best places to go to the away games. I mean, the people there are super friendly, super hospitable, great eats, as you always say to me, and just great people. And of course, just happy to and excited to share that moment with G's. I've already talked to a few of them that are going, and of course they are going to play the game, Robert. So you are on notice. They are going to play the game. You guys know it.
Nice.
SADA. Let us know in the chat too if you are going to Austin. Definitely hit us up or DM us or email us. Yeah, for sure. But I'm super stoked, man, and I'm super excited to hopefully see a Galaxy win. And also I'm super excited to see, honestly, if I think about it, other than I've been to Red Bull Stadium, I've been to, I think, Warner Stadium. I can't put my finger on it, but this is my first time at Q2. So I'm going to ask Michelle, definitely what to do there. Remind me to ask her that question.
Yeah. It's it's a cool stadium, man. And like I said, I've had a great time every time that I've gone to Austin. And yes,
and I'm lucky it's early. Yeah.
Tony Crespo says you're lucky it's early. Yes, in reference to playing SADA. Don't worry, Tony. Don't worry, Tony. We're gonna get him.
Rob, look what Tony said. Check out Franklin's Barbecue. We were talking about this exact
no, of course. I mean,
in Austin.
It's also on the docket. It is definitely also on the docket. If you guys have some suggestions that you guys that have been out there, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Yeah, man, I'm super excited too, just because it's your first away match, and I remember my first one. Marinita says, "Vamos a tener que comprar chubasqueros." Now, I would be lying if I said I knew what a chubasquero was. So, Marina, please go ahead and drop us some knowledge in the chat, because I don't know what that is. Pero quiero saber qué es un chubasquero. Entonces me deja saber. Wow. Ananda, apparently we're going to have to wait 3 hours in line. Tony Christmas says I waited 3 hours in line last year. I don't know. I get hungry, man. So
I know that
we might have to
find a plan B. Yeah,
yes,
find a plan B. But
not only do I get hungry, but the wifeys get hungry as well, and then it's over, and we just gotta,
it's game over. Yeah,
gotta eat.
Yeah. So, but before you call me out, I'm gonna do my housekeeping, because we got a lot to get to today. We've got a fabulous guest, and excited to talk about all this good stuff with her, and we talk about Austin, which is a very interesting, I think, an enigma of a team this year. But first, you guys can always block me or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana. You guys on the YouTube, you can see that underneath our faces there, our screen name. You can find us there, screen name, just like AOL times. And of course, you can always find our podcast on all the socials at La Cuna Galaxiana. Guys, we are everywhere. We're posting, a lot on X and IG, and we're gonna get the clips back up too on TikTok. Just working out a few kinks there, and yeah, we're here, there, and everywhere. So come check us out there. Of course, you guys found our YouTube, so those of you in the chat, welcome back.
Gracias.
We love you guys, and can't wait to interact with you guys yet again. And if you have not yet, hit that subscribe button to find out when we have amazing guests like Michelle today. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. We are, fast approaching 200 subs here, so help us get to that number.
Thank you guys for that, for sure.
100%. And of course, go ahead and like this video before y'all forget. If we have any chief like officers or VPs of likes or prime ministers of likes out there, go ahead and remind everyone in the chat. You know how it is. We spread the good vibes and put someone on. Share this link, do what you got to do there. And of course, Roberto, como siempre.
Sí. Yeah.
Antes de olvidarme, just want to give a little suspense.
Aquí está.
Buenos días, tardes o noches, y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Robert, we're actually approaching an important landmark for this podcast.
Yes, dime.
We're actually approaching our 100th episode. Can you believe this, Papa? 100
Hey, el centenario.
Centurions, man. Well, yeah, I just the whole Man City and Centurions thing, I just can't get out of my mind, because I'm in a title race right now. But Centurions for this podcast,
I was thinking the old show, the old animated show.
Yeah,
that's a banger right there.
But yes, we are fast approaching our 100th show. Robert, do you want to give the folks here a little preview or something that we're cooking up? What do we got to say? All I can say is I can't believe we've been in this chair. We're gonna be in this chair, like talking LA Galaxy soccer for 100 shows. That's a damn long time.
Speaking to that, it's 100 shows, and then I put it into context, and we're in the season, and then just into the second season, and then I thinking about the Podfather, who's been doing this for a cool minute, 16 seasons, 1,100 shows, and I'm just like, wow, the longevity. Talk about an Iron Man, dude. Yeah. Talk about an Iron Man, bro. Anyway, shout out to him. Yeah, like Ananda says, 100 episodes in, and we are so thankful that you guys have found something enjoyable with this show. And for us, it's we were going to talk about LA Galaxy soccer anyway, even if it's just me and him. So thank you for hanging out and chilling. We always say it was born over wings and beer, and now and now we get to hang out with all you guys, and it's lovely. Tony, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Big shout out to Boat, who's in the
Big
chat.
shout
Hello,
out.
hello, sir.
Hey man, we haven't gotten to the shout outs yet, but I'm gonna shout out Boat already. So shout out to Boat, man, for I guess I won his raffle for a signed Jalen Neal card. So Robert,
Hey,
I'm gonna have a signed Jalen. Look at big Jalen over there. I need to get that thing signed, but I'm gonna get a Topps Chrome. I think it's one of those special cards. So Boat's always on top of that, man.
always
Boat, I gotta tell you, man, you spread the love like heavy in this Galaxy community,
personal
especially
friend of
with
Preston
your
Judd.
Cromos. Yeah, personal friend of Preston Judd. So shout out to you, my friend, and thank you for the Topps Chrome Jalen card.
Entonces, ¿qué pues? ¿Nos vamos a los anuncios?
Vamos a los anuncios, papá.
Alrighty. Well, first off, happy Passover to all the Jewish G's out there. Passover was a couple days ago, I believe, and so we hope you guys had a good celebration, and we're rocking the blue, white, and gold yarmulke in during the feasts, and then the LA Galaxy got out and did some do-gooder stuff, which is always awesome to see them do in honor of Earth Day and the MLS Greener Goals Week of Service. They went out to Anna Lee Elementary School, and they had the goal of refurbishing their community garden. John McCarthy was out there, and this was put on by the Galaxy Foundation and the Academy. And then in addition to the refurbishment of the community garden, the team partnered with Shoes That Fit to provide a pair of shoes to every student at the school. So everyone's going to be walking around with some new, fresh kicks. So, I mean, we always like to call these things out, man, because you know what, like it's sure we want to see this team win on the field. We want to see them win off the field even more, and that's why I think someone like Jalen Neal is so special, because he would rather be a better man than a better footballer, and it's lovely. But anyway, shout out to everyone involved in that, and we'll keep bringing you stories like this because they need to be heard. Shout out as well and congratulations to former G Rafa Garcia. He was just named coach of the boys soccer team at Sierra Canyon. Garcia is an academy coach for the LA Galaxy and former assistant head coach for CSUN's women team. Congratulations, Rafa. He's always at games and always at different functions and stuff like that. So if you see him, go ahead and congratulate him and wish him luck. Ananda, we talked about the atmosphere at the stadium last pod, and we called it out for being exceptional, right? And it's, you can feel the energy, the buzz, the passion there, and more than anything, you see the seats, the butts and seats, like early, like as the game is starting, which Greg, we've already mentioned that Greg loves, but now we have some numbers behind all that. The Galaxy have announced that through the first 4 home games, an average of 25,222 of you lovely G's have been out there to sing and alentar a este equipo que vamos, el año pasado no tenía esto y que le va muy bien, right? Que lo ayuda.
Yep.
So congratulations to all you guys.
I mean, I told my wife, man, le dije que, mira, este ambiente, eso, this is what it is. Like, this is how it should be. This is how it used to be. Right. And she was even like, because like I told you, we shared the story. Leo was in the chat last time, and we talked about how there was a lot of casuals and everyone was mingling. And man, it's stadium's rocking this year, and it's great that it's fueling the energy. It's giving energy to the team and fueling them to first place. So it's awesome.
Hey, is that Nacho in the middle of that picture right there in green?
Looks like him, right? Yeah. Shout out Nacho, Lacuna Matata.
Shout out Nacho. And shout out all the Lacuna Matata boys. We miss y'all. We can't wait for the season to start. But anyway, yeah, the atmosphere has been great, and I think it was really great because you saw in one of these replays of Ricky's goal just how much the crowd was loving it, and I think somebody dropped a cheeky line in about how there was no roof needed to amplify or speakers needed to amplify, and that's all natural, baby. That's 100% organic Los Angeles Galaxy passion right there. So congratulations to all y'all. Shop Naranja Dulce is back at it, man. They're dropping heat again. They just dropped a Galaxy collection. Now we saw the Loteria shirt before, and we also saw the one. If you guys are watching this, the one on top left, this is a t-shirt, guys. If you're listening to this is Los Angeles Galaxy. A white t-shirt, simple but clean. And then they have the rest of the line at shopnaranjadulce.com. 6 t-shirt offerings. I personally like Que Dios bendiga el Galaxy. That one. Hey, there we go. So
Tony agrees with you.
Hey, yeah, it's clean, man. I was gonna say I got to get that from my viejita. She definitely loves herself some God, and then she also loves herself some Galaxy. So gotta get that one for her. But anyway,
man, I would love to do. That reminds me of or that just gave me a thought. Like I'd love to do one next year that says La Suerte de Campeón. I'd love to do that, and I hope it manifests. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. Let's manifest. Speaking it into existence, man.
Man.
Anyway, but if you do get something from this Galaxy collection, Shop Naranja Dulce will send you a free Loteria sticker with every purchase. So go ahead, check them out. These shirts are dope. Simple enough. So pick one up. Guys, we do have a G's Run LA event this weekend on April 27th. If you missed April 20th, never fear. You can hook up with the G's Run LA again this month. That's going to happen at Absolution Brewing. There'll be 2 courses as usual, and this is open to walkers and runners of all levels. And you know what? There's going to be people getting together there. We got to tell you about some more get-togethers for the watch parties here. And again, this is by no means one of the only ones, but by tomorrow and Friday that we'll have an official list on all the watch parties. But the IAGs and Big Heck, they let us know about the IAGs getting together at Common Ground in Oakland at 10:30. And since it's an early game, the G's will meet for breakfast at 9 a.m. at Apple Annie's. I like that name a lot, Ananda. Apple Annie's. I definitely want to go out there one day with the IAGs and try Apple Annie's and catch a game with them because the name has me intrigued for sure. So anyway, if you're in the IE, go ahead and hook up with the IAGs and like I said, go ahead and check out the socials, the Galaxy socials there for all the watch parties. ACB usually does a graphic. Outlaws usually does a graphic. So go ahead and keep your ear to the ground. Ananda, this one is an unscheduled announcement. You're probably shaking your head over there right now. But really quick, wanted to shout out El Primo Matthew because he dropped the first line of LA Galaxy trading cards. And I know that he's working on the second line right now because I got to do a little work, do a little collab with him on him. By no means anything creative, just translating, but they're fire, man. So watch out for that. Nano, Primo, I'm really excited for that drop. We can't wait to see him. Okay, now back to a regular scheduled program because Ananda's going to kill me. So let's go ahead. The next shout out here is the VCFC. They have their next game, and it looks like they'll be traveling to Austin as well. They'll be playing Austin's second team, Austin 2. That'll be on April 26th at 6 p.m. So that will be on Friday, which is why the LA Galaxy is probably traveling out there tomorrow. So, go ahead and check that one out on Apple TV on Friday at 6 p.m. Go ahead and support those guys because we have a lot of the players that are kind of like on the depth side right there, right? So we have Gino Levy and Jonathan Perez and stuff like that. So and it's a good opportunity to see players that we think have it in them. Like I love me some Johnny Perez, but we don't get to see him enough. So it's a good opportunity to go ahead and catch him. Ananda, did you hear that the Galaxy got in trouble, man?
I did see that. I just caught it today. So, yep. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So, I think it's
I just love that we leave this graphic in there of Big Don. Oh man.
Oh, this is like my favorite picture of him, and I told you, like, when he was at the digs for the first game of the season, like, I shot him a question and he was like, he gave me this look like, damn, I knew I shouldn't have called on this fool. And so anyway, I love this picture right here. It's my favorite. But no shade against Big Don. I mean, like, look at what the league is doing, man. I mean, craziness. So anyway, but shade against the disciplinary committee because they have fined a bunch of Galaxy players, namely the chief culprit here, Eric Zavaleta, who picked up the red card, but he failed to leave the pitch in a timely manner, apparently, and so he's getting fined an undisclosed amount. And then for protesting, we saw the Galaxy players crowd around that referee, and a bunch of Galaxy players were around him, but the guys that they signaled out or picked out anyway are Mal Cuevas and Julian Aude, Gaston Brugman, and Gabriel Pecci, because apparently they just needed to get fined too. So they got fined, and then the Galaxy and Greg Vanney have gotten an official warning for having violated the mass confrontation policy of the league. This one is like, these fines are silly to me, man. It's soccer. I mean, players are gonna go and protest and plead their case and stuff like that. And in this case, Zavaleta, he did that, right? But players are gonna do this, man. So like, really, do we got to find these guys? Seriously, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
It is kind of ridiculous, and it's just the heat of the game, the heat of the moment. I feel like these are not going to be unavoidable. I even need to see like the play again or see the replay of like what. I mean, I remember it kind of in the stadium, but I mean, I would be doing the same thing, right? In the heat of the moment, especially at that time, it was a turning point in the game, and we needed to plead our case. But yeah, just silly. Less said about this, the better, to be honest. And like Tony said in the chat, us against the league, my friend.
Yeah, and we talked about the Podfather earlier, but he brought up, like, it's there's been a couple of clear cut decisions that have gone against the Galaxy so far this year. Zavaleta's red card wasn't really one of them, but players are going to go protest their case, man. Like, it's just part of the game, It's not like, I mean, it's really incumbent on the referee to be like, nah, son, get away from me, and like stamp their authority on it. Like, you know what? Like, put your foot down and be like, no, it is what it is, and that's it. Take charge of the situation. But we already spoke about how the ref wasn't really up to the task in this one. Kind of swallowed his whistle in the last part of the game. Several fouls that, I mean, you brought up in stats how the I think they had double the amount of fouls that the Galaxy did, right? So
Yep, a lot of fouls, and it was inconsistent as well. I mean, there was so many instances in the second half where the whole crowd, by the way, was into it. I mean, we were just like, what is this ref seeing? Even my wife was like, what is up with this ref? Like, the calls were just so inconsistent. Of course, we needed to try to put our physical imprint on the game as well, because we were down to 10 men, right? But just very, very inconsistent. And yeah, I mean, bring up the scab refs. No, I'm just kidding. DJ refs were much worse. But you're right. We've been unfortunately on the wrong side of calls this year. But you know what I love, man? It's like, we're doing so well this year in terms of points and our performances, right? Last year, I remember you and I had so many conversations about
you and I. That's two.
Yes. I remember.
Got him, champ.
I remember when we had conversations about you like how I changed that up. now it's in my head. I love it when we had conversations last year
I'll get you again.
Just the refereeing and how we were on the wrong side of it. And even Greg in his post-match conferences, remember, like, he was kind of pinning. There was that one tirade that he had in the press match conference about the referee, right? I think it was about whether it was a foul or a penalty or something like that. But
the one where he did the Karen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
I think you put that picture up, or Mike Gray. I can't remember.
Nah, it wasn't me. I think it was Mike Gray. I took a picture of that that moment, but it wasn't the particular like, or did I take a video? I don't remember, but yeah, no, it was against Seattle, I believe, and yeah, Greg was hot, man. So, um, anyway,
Yeah.
so you're gonna have to take 2 shots now, by the way. So I got you again.
Wait.
So
When did you make this rule? Wait, when did you make this rule up? I thought we were just doing a score count. When did points equal like shots all of a sudden? Like, where did that come from, man?
hey, it is what it is, my G. You know, I don't make the rules. I just enforce them and you know, read them out. But anyway,
Anyways, enough about that, and let's, you know, I know we're here. Why everyone's here? We're here to talk about the game, and we've got someone pretty awesome to talk this game with. So why don't you intro it, man?
órale, vámonos. Well, please welcome to the show. She is a journalist for CBS, Televisa, and Univision, and is tapped into all things Austin FC. Please welcome to the show, Michelle Sanchez. Michelle, bienvenida. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. How are you?
I am good. It is late. It is 11:30 p.m. Central Time in Austin. So I think we just hit, we're only, almost like 48 hours till kickoff. 12:30 Central Time here at Q2 Stadium. But anyways, enough about that. Thank you so much. I'm great. I'm doing great. I'm just a little sleepy, but here we are.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Yeah, really appreciate it.
For sure. I know, like, I know when we connected, I was like, oh man, hopefully she can, because I know it's late. So thank you so much for being gracious with your time. And you know, I wanted to speak to you because, you know, from the looks of it, you've been kind of with covering Austin since day one, or even before day one, even before they had stepped on the pitch. So it's really an honor to have you. So thank you so much. You know, first things first, how's the season been treating you so far? I know Austin's been kind of like inconsistent, but kind of rounding into form right now.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, first of all, I am happy to be here, by the way. I know it's late, but I love soccer or football, and I love talking about it. I love connecting with other reporters or just bloggers or fans that are, you know, really involved with their own clubs. So thank you for having me. But yeah, so I have been covering Austin since its infancy, since even they broke ground here at Q2. So you are correct. I do it in Spanish and English, obviously, as you mentioned. I'm a freelance now, but I did work for Telemundo and CBS, which is totally fine. I mean, I'm still in media. I do my own thing too. But, you know, from the beginning, I said that this was going to be a very rough start for Austin FC. It took a lot of fans by surprise whenever I spoke to Josh, and he said that they were in a rebuilding stage, you know, rebuilding the roster. And I just don't think that fans really realize how much of an impact it would have on the roster decisions, the squad, and, you know, implementing new players. And as we all saw, I mean, one of the most beloved players left to Galaxy last season. And so, you know, it was going to be a struggle. I knew it was going to be a struggle. They have a margin for error that is really, really slim. So say, you know, they do something wrong or they start off slow in a match, it's just going to kind of set the tempo for the game. However, they have been able to bounce back in these last few games, especially for the Texas matches that they've had recently, where they've been able to kind of find their momentum. So they're hoping to do this again against Galaxy, coming off of a win from Houston, who was, you know, sitting pretty high. But yeah, it is a little up and down, and they're still figuring it out.
Bueno, antes de seguir por cualquier motivo, please let us know where people can find your coverage or can catch you online, and then, you know, follow up to that one. How did you start covering this beautiful sport?
Yeah, I mean, I put my handle there because that's my personal handle, and then off of there, I kind of link everything that I do. So Rincon Verde is my Instagram. I have a Twitter account. I've been in a personal hiatus just because life got a little bit complicated lately, but I'm back. I'm excited to be going back to the stadium and doing player interviews and stuff. I've been lucky enough also to do some things with MLS this season, starting next month. So, it's something that I've been doing, and I'm so one of the lucky few ones. Everyone loves soccer and everyone wants to have their own channels, but I think very, very few journalists, even here in Austin, and I assume it's the same thing in LA, they get paid for their work. A lot of journalists don't get paid, right? And so I'm going to be one of the lucky ones that are going to get paid finally. But yeah,
Hermana, get that bag.
it's a struggle. A lot of
It is.
where you go to these press conferences and you waste your gas, but those are personal problems. Like I shouldn't be crying a river because I am one of the lucky ones that do have access to press conferences and players, right? But yeah, sorry, what was your question? I kind of went off on a rat.
No, it's all good. I do that all the time, so no tengas pena.
Yes, he does.
Ananda has to keep me in check,
I can
like,
attest.
hey, papa, el tiempo, and I'm like, oh, my bad. What were we talking about? So no, I asked you, how you started covering the sport, and then,
Yeah.
we already did mention that you've been, covering Austin even since
Sure.
before it kicked its first ball, right? So, how did you start covering the sport, and then, how did you start covering Austin?
Yeah, so I studied journalism. I actually went to UT here. I'm born and raised in Austin. I'm one of the few Latinas who covers it in Spanish and English. I'm either maybe one of another one that occasionally goes to. So I take a lot of pride in that, being a female in sports. I started off my career in production, producer. I worked for Longhorn Network. I've done ESPN stuff, visited Bristol and those headquarters, but I never had those opportunities to move, even though I was really and always looking forward to moving. But then Austin came about and I got a job here at a news station with Telemundo and CBS as a producer. And then that kind of opened other doors to be a reporter. And yeah, I mean, I was like, why should I leave? Like, it was all my life that I was looking forward to leaving my hometown. But then Austin is like, continues to grow. And a lot of folks from LA continue to come. And
It's awesome there. I love it there.
no, it's amazing. It's an amazing, beautiful city, and it's grown. And so I was like, okay, I guess let me just focus on covering Austin FC, building my own brand as a journalist, and just being that person where people can kind of go and find their information. So that's how I kind of started. And so everything, traditional journalism, write blogs, and so I am very, very passionate about doing it in Spanish. I think that there's not a lot of coverage, especially in MLS in general. So I hope to be one of those few people that, even though I know English and I do it in English on my personal account, I'm able to also do it in Spanish, because a lot of the players maybe a lot of the times aren't comfortable speaking English, and that's that's completely fine. I will use my skill set to translate and definitely put those interviews out there in Spanish.
Me encanta eso. Me encanta oír eso, porque that's the reason we're a bilingual pod, right? Because my folks, I'm not gonna. What is the term that we use for
Mature?
old? Mature.
Mature.
Yes,
that's what El Presi said, Fernando.
Yeah.
Shout out Fernando Fiore, by the way.
Mis papás, yo no les digo viejitos, les digo los clásicos, right? And so they're always like, mijo, ¿qué pasa con el Galaxy? ¿Qué pasa? Cuéntame, right? So creo que es muy bonito que estás enfocando nuestro idioma, porque no solamente es nuestra cultura, pero también, we make sure that our mature audiences out there also get coverage as well, and they're not neglected, So, no, I love it, man. So you've been there since day one. How was that magical first season? Because I mean, that season was great for Austin.
It was magical.
A lot of people go, nah, these guys definitely overperformed, but I mean, like the results speak on the field. I mean, Driussi had a fantastic season. What was it like for you being boots on the ground and seeing it play out in real time?
Yeah, so 2021, their first season, I have a really funny story. Actually, Diego Fagundes was my first interview, and he was my last interview. So I have a special like un cariño, un sentimiento with Diego. So he was always nice. First season 2021, Driussi came after that, but it was very tough to watch the team struggle. It was during COVID, so even then it was very interesting talking to them over camera. Now 2022, when Driussi came about and he was runner-up for MVP, that was amazing to see. I mean, I always say when the teams do good, you have the best coverage, you have the best content because it's positive. Obviously, there is always room to criticize, but I think that's even when national media and national journalists like The Athletic come and they start looking into other journalists as to what they're saying, because they're maybe not too familiar with the club, because that season, it took everyone by surprise. Everyone was looking for who was Sebastián Driussi. What did he say? Oh, well, there's this journalist that goes every week in, weekend out, kind of covering what's going around the club. So that's always really nice, and it gives you a confidence boost as to how you're covering the team, and you're doing a good job if you're getting quoted by other journalists, right? But it was magical just seeing how Q2 is a really magical stadium. When the team does great, you just can hear the fans. It's a vibe. It's electric. It's one of the best stadiums in MLS. So seeing how that formed and came about, and just kind of like how everyone embraced the club, that was amazing. And then, just getting to have those really close relationships with the players. But no, I mean, I always say, like, the best coverage that you could get is whenever the underdog makes it all the way to a playoff. Like if you follow NBA or NFL, I mean, it's a wild card, right? Essentially. So that was really fun.
It's always a good story, and I'm always a sucker for the underdog too, right? One time, I don't remember. My mind is doing that like thing where you're not sure on a memory, but I don't know if I was there or I just saw it like in pictures. But that Selena tifo that y'all did was all time cool, man. Super super clean. Pero how have you seen this team improve? And it doesn't even have to be on the field, but like it could be just like in the way it operates, or like the players it's bringing in since day one. If there's any kind of improvement that you've seen there that you want to call out, and then likewise, what do you think they can still improve on?
Yeah, I think this team has a lot to improve on. I think it's been a struggle coming on and off. After 2022 happened, they lost one of their better center backs, Ruben Gabrielson, who went back to his home country. So defense has always been a problem with them. I feel like when the biggest improvement was bringing in Driussi, just the playmaker, the type of player that he is. He not only does great in Austin, I think any team in MLS would try to seek him to go to their team. I wouldn't be surprised by if towards the end of this season he gets called up for another big team like LAFC, which I don't think is going to happen. But just another big team that's trying to make it. Hopefully he doesn't. I think he stays. But I do think that this team does have a lot to improve on. I think they're still trying to figure it out with the sporting director being Rodolfo Borrell. I have my worries now that I maybe didn't see initially. MLS is a very, very distinct league in its salary caps and all that. So I think even him coming from, Manchester City, he's struggling a little bit to try to find those right players who can mix and who can't, right? I think Claudio Reyna in his time, he was doing that and it was kind of working, and you could see that from Austin FC too. He also worked with Sean Rubio to try to develop those young kids, but with those two guys out now, it's like this club is trying to find their identity. So it's still very young club. It's not historical and it has a lot of history like Galaxy. So I think there's still a lot to improve on. I think the biggest position that has been strong since day one is the goalkeeper, Brad Stuber. He's been phenomenal since day one. He's a, first goalkeeper, and there hasn't really been, a match that he's missed besides one injury, I think, till this day. So yeah, I think that's the only positive.
I think it's interesting, Michelle, that you bring up the leadership point too, because you see it now from our perspective, as an outsider looking in. Sure. We see what happens when you bring a guy that knows MLS, right? And Will Kuntz, and you see the turnaround from a LA Galaxy perspective, from Chris Klein and the boycott last year to Will Kuntz this year. And, we have this thing amongst Galaxy fans that Will Kuntz is cooking, right? He's absolutely cooking right now with his DPs. He absolutely nailed it.
He done miracles on me.
He absolutely did. And so, yeah, it's a really good point that you bring up in leadership. And I will tell you, as a Galaxy fan, I've seen that firsthand, the impact of bringing in a guy like that with all that knowledge and skill set in this league, especially.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. Hopefully, I wish them for the best. They have a big window that they need to meet expectations in the summer. I think right now it's pretty established that Austin's, they're going to be, they need to take advantage of home field. So coming up, obviously Galaxy, they are coming for, hopefully, I would say a draw. On me reaching a win would be amazing, but I think a draw would feel like a win, honestly.
We'll get to predictions in a second, but real quick before we do this, before Robert does his match preview and we get into the nitty gritty of this matchup. So Michelle, I don't know if you caught this when you were backstage listening to us, but this is going to be not only my first away trip as an LA Galaxy fan, because we are going to be at the stadium this weekend. But this is going to be my first time at Q2 Stadium. So, mi pregunto, what's like the top eat there? Like, what should I eat?
Oh my gosh, you need to go on my Instagram and watch my reel about all the new foods that
I'm subbing right now.
I'm just kidding. So they have Black's Barbecue at Q2 Stadium. Look, everything is overpriced. It's concessions. I think at any stadium is super overpriced.
Always.
But I think you can't go wrong with like a barbecue in Texas. It's always a no-brainer. The pizza rolls, I know who wants to eat pizza, but the pizza rolls from Double Dave's are really good. They're one of my favorites too. Get a margarita if you do drink, and if you don't, it's
all
okay.
Day. You didn't hear. We are actually playing this game called, since it's Ananda's first away trip, we're playing a game called SADA, which means see Ananda, drink Ananda. If any Galaxy fan that's out there in Austin, if they see Ananda in Austin, they just tag him up and he has to drink, right? So anyway, if you see Ananda, SADA, go ahead, tag him and he has to drink.
And this is why your tag says SADA leader. Look at that, Papa. Anyways.
When did that change? Who knows? But yes, guys, we are here to talk about this match, and it's an intriguing one. It's going to be kind of interesting to see the way it plays out, because Austin's been kind of an enigma this season. But anybody that's not going to be in Austin, like us three, because obviously Michelle lives there, we're visiting. You can catch this game on Apple TV for free, also on Fox Sports and Fox Deportes. And going into this match, these teams are kind of on not completely opposite sides of the spectrum, but a little bit more where the Galaxy were last year, where they were very inconsistent. But through 9 matches played during 2024, the Galaxy hold a 5-1-3 record, 21 goals for, 15 against. They are on 18 points, which gives them first place in the Western Conference. They're second on goal difference in the Supporter Shield standings, but they do have a game in hand over Miami. They have 2 points per game, which is a league best. And like I told you guys last time we were here, it took 20 games for them to get to the same 18 points that they got to this year, which is
stat.
It's a crazy stat, but it's good to know these things because it shows the progression. I mean, data, the numbers don't lie, right? And so when people go, all right, is the Galaxy a better team? Absolutely, the numbers don't lie, right?
For sure.
Austin, however, they are in 8th place. If the season ended today, they would just barely squeak by into the playoffs. They have a 3-3-3 record. They're on 12 points. They're scoring 1.3 points per game. They've scored 12 and given away 13 for a -1 goal differential, but they are rounding into form, like I did say. They won 3 of the last 4, including 2 Copa Tejas matches in the span of those 4 matches. March 30th, they beat Dallas 2-1 at home, and then this last match was a 1-0 win away versus Houston, a Rigoni winner in the 86th minute, seemingly against a run of play. And you know what? It was a smash and grab, I think the MLS announcers called it. Do you agree with that, Michelle? Was it a smash and grab? Do you think they were lucky to get out of there with all 3 points?
Honestly, they were a little lucky. I think that Wolf took a minute because I think when Rigoni came in and CJ came in, it was only 20 minutes for the game, that was left. And so I think he was just, instead of parking the bus, I think he pressed and, tried to look for that goal, which is very unlike Wolf at times. Sometimes it's so hard to read, who he is, but I think he's starting to feel the pressure. And so he was like, whatever, man, let's just throw in Rigoni. He's our DP, because he is a DP, he's getting paid a lot of money. So let's see if he shows up. He showed up. I mean, CJ is a player that I think he will see minutes next game. He's a very young, he plays for Austin FC too, but he's finding his rhythm. And so he gave that, he beat Hector Herrera, which obviously is Selección Mexicana. If you follow them, a legend. And so in order to do that against someone like him, very ballsy, but congrats to him getting his first assist with Austin FC. But yeah, I mean, it was lucky. And even Rigoni said, like, hey, I asked him, you how did you watch the match from the bench? And were you prepared and kind of observing the game as you went for, if the opportunity presented itself, you knew what to do against Houston to try to find at least that goal. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I saw where they were kind of, leaving holes. And he's like, and I kind of saw it and I went in, me and CJ went in. I know he saw he was going to be able to beat Hector Herrera. He's older, slower. And so he found that ball, that goal. He was like, it was lucky because it kind of like hit the post, but you take it. A win is a win, even if it's ugly.
well taken strike for sure. Mencionaste, I know Ananda has a question about Josh Wolf, who you mentioned a couple times there, but también mencionaste a la selección mexicana. Eres mexicana, ¿no?
Sí, soy mexicana.
¿Tienes un equipo de la Liga MX?
Claro, del Cruz Azul.
Cementeros. Okay, right on. Okay.
If you didn't know, Diego Fagundes was actually sought after from Cruz Azul. I think 2020.
I did not know.
Yeah, they wanted him. They wanted him to leave Austin FC, and he was like, "I love Austin way too much."
Ooh, wow. Well, we've said it a couple times. This year, we're lucky to have him. I mean, he's such an asset for real. Oh yeah, and he's super nice. Whenever you interview him and stuff like that, like he's just super cool. Me encanta su español también porque como es uruguayo tiene como su acento uruguayo, right? Me encanta hablar.
If you ever, he's the type of player that if you DM him and you're like, hey, we're playing pickup, he will literally show up. That's how he created that really nice connection. That's why Austin, the fans here love him, because he was so down to just like show up, play some pickup soccer. Really, he's the type of guy that real humble. He wants to get to know his community. So I hope that you do that. And, if you guys get together as fans and play up some pickup soccer, he will be one of the guys that will.
Speaking of Fagundes, Marvin says that he has the opinion that Fagundes was your lucky charm. He says Fagundes was their lucky charm. He's our little Maluma look-alike lucky charm. And then Ramiza says Maluma baby.
Maluma baby.
Yes. So yeah, I really enjoy Diego. He's super nice. Pero from
It's soccer.
from nice to not so nice. I know Ananda wants to hit you with a Josh Wolf question.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because earlier in the season and even last season, right? Because I actually got connected last year with Hernan from We Are Austin TV. So shout out Hernan if you're listening wherever you are. And he always has this thing with fans afterwards. And I remember last year because you guys and us, we were in a very similar position in the table, and fans were irate. They were calling for Wolf out. They were even calling for Wolf out earlier in the season, right? But 3 wins in the last 4. Things are trending the right way. So what do you think, Michelle? Is this a start of a turnaround for Wolf and the team, or do you think that this is just a temporary Band-Aid over the whole Wolf situation?
Is that Mage?
I think that Wolf is feeling some type of pressure. I think that you can tell, but he also is very realistic as to where his team is when it comes to the talent that he has. He doesn't have a lot of depth. I do think that the wins have helped him as of late. There's a lot of question of him playing his own son at times in different positions. So I think when, he doesn't do himself any favors, and I'm completely unbiased, but when you do that and you kind of, play, a person that has the same last name as you and you share a house with probably, it doesn't look right? Where there's other players that can maybe fill a position and they have more experience. So I do think that there is room for criticism, but, he has the full support of Anthony Precourt. He has the full support of the sporting director. I don't think he leaves anytime soon. I do think they will see as the season continues where he's at. I think they gave him this grace period of this season, like, hey, this is either you do really good and we make playoffs, or you do bad and we don't make playoffs. And I think it's time for you to find a new home. Because the reason I say this, because Austin FC didn't make playoffs last season. And even though they were frustrated, I think there was some sense of, well, there wasn't a sporting director. He was a sporting director and he was the coach. So I think they gave him some padding there. I do think, Austin is very interesting because Austin FC is the only MLS team and professional team. I think fans just love the vibes and don't really understand, what maybe LA has, where you have basketball, NFL, you have all these other sporting events. So maybe they're not as passionate as like Wolf Out. I think social media can amplify it a lot. Like a lot of fans are angry. But when you go into the stadium, a lot of fans are still, happy, and maybe they're new to the sport and maybe they blame the player more than they blame the coach at times. Social media amplifies everything. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think MLS analysts and experts say, he should be in the hot seat. And I think he is in the hot seat. I think he realizes that, and he's just, like I said, even against Houston, he usually parks the bus, but he was just looking to see if he puts in Rigoni and somehow makes a goal. And so he did. So, they're kind of, trotting along. And so yeah, I hope that answered your question. I'm kind of like, in the middle and watching this kind of unfold from the back seat too.
Yeah. Well, Robert, a couple of things before. I know you were kind of like, you had some thoughts going in your head as well as I see your reaction. But one thing that hit home with me, well, 2 things actually. One is I love the take about social media amplifying things. I think I feel that as well as a fan, just like things on X aren't necessarily what they are in reality, right? And I think that's a really interesting thing that we need to consider, even for myself. And the other thing, Rob, is it's interesting the parallels, I think, with the situation that Vanney was in really last year and these last few years, right? I think Wolf, how many years has Wolf been there now, Michelle?
4. He's
4. So similar to Vanney, right, Rob? And this is what I'm saying about my earlier point about when you have a front office around him that builds a team in the image of the coach. So it's really interesting. I see the parallels there, and my mind's kind of going off on just a lot of the parallels and of both of our situations. And so, yeah, we'll see if Wolf can turn this team around. I think it'll be really interesting to see and a storyline to follow for the rest of the season.
For sure. And, this is on Wolf, right? But a lot of it too is on the front office. You have to invest in your team. You have to invest. You can't just have one person, Driussi, being the star of the show. You have to bring, good players. So I do think, he's brought in Rubio, he's brought in Miro. They're doing something. So it seems like, okay, this could be going somewhere. But we'll see in the summer, when the transfer window opens, and see what other players can, help the case for Wolf to stay if that's what the club decides, and himself too.
Ananda, you asked me why I was shaking my head, or kind of mentioned why I was shaking my head or agreeing. I found it interesting the way the fandom is, because this team or Austin is a relatively young team, right? So like Michelle said, I mean, people might be there for vibes, there might be some hardcore fans and stuff like that, but that passion also takes some time to develop, right? So
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
While I just sat thinking about how Galaxy fans, it took 10 years for them to actually manifest into the supporters boycott, right? And Austin is less than 10 years old, so just to give you a context, so and then if you really look at context, both clubs are very young in terms of the European clubs, so then you have generations that have been supporting the same team, right? Where it's not just like, hey, I love this club, but it's like, no, my grandpappy's grandpappy was an ex-supporter, right? So I just started thinking about like the difference in fandom, and I've always told you that Austin fans are probably amongst the most friendly fans in the league. Like Michelle, when I've been there, I've been walking around and people have been like, hey, thanks for coming to our stadium, and I've been like, yo, what like,
they're like, you want a beer? Here, take a beer.
Yeah, and then I told my wife at one point, I was like, oh, it must be because like they don't have beef with anybody yet, like everybody likes the new kid on the block, right? And so just like again, the feelings were so good in that stadium. I was like, wow, what a cool stadium to watch match at. But at the same time, that's what had me thinking that perhaps people aren't as crazy like, hey, Josh Wolf out, because that passion hasn't reached a fever pitch yet. I mean, again, in context, it took 10 years for the Galaxy. Austin hasn't been around for 10 years, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But looking ahead to this match proper, this will be the 7th meeting between the clubs. LA leads the series 4-1-1. Their lone loss was a 2-0 away loss on September 26th, 2022. I remember that match very well. They just got played off the pitch. In 2 matches in 2023, the Galaxy held an unbeaten record, 1-0-1. They had 5 goals for, 2 against. One of those was that crazy 3-3 tie in the rain with the thunderstorms and everything like that, which we will touch on here in a moment. The Galaxy are unbeaten in their last 4 regular season matches played against Austin FC dating back to 2022, and 5 regular season career player appearances against Austin. Decky Dayon has 3 goals and 3 assists. He loves to do the business against Austin. Ricky Puig has only played in 2 games against Austin, but he already has 3 goal contributions, 2 goals and an assist. And in 5 road matches, LA holds a 3-1-1 record. Of course, like I did mention to you guys, they were the first road team to take 3 victories. And again, they've just been purring on offense, second in the league in expected goals created. However, that defense has been kind of shaky. Like we mentioned on our last pod, they're second to last in the league in expected goals allowed, and they've given up the 4th most goals in the West so far. And of course, we did mention that crazy thunderstorm game. Michelle, were you at that match?
I was working for Univision, and they were like, hey, send us all the footage that you have. And it was crazy. I remember getting home like 2-3 in the morning, like if I was coming home from the club back in the day. I was like, this is crazy. I have to work. No, I didn't have to work. I think I did some work for the next day, obviously. But but yeah, no, it was crazy. It was, I think there was hail, there was puddles on like in certain areas of the stadium and on the pitch. It was just a crazy match, but wild that it ended 3-3, huh?
Yeah, I mean the
Absolutely.
Galaxy stole a point in that one. I mean, obviously there was a 3-hour rain delay, which really does something to a player's rhythm as well. You know, you get warm, you get game ready, and then you get told like, hey, you just gotta hang out and sit around for 3 hours. So they had to get rewarm. So neither team looked great, to be honest, that night. But the Galaxy did battle back from 3-1 in the 75th minute. Michael Barrios scored a 94th minute injury tying goal off a
Remember him?
wicked. Yes. Johnny Perez served up that cross. It was gorgeous. And yeah, I'm just really, really lucky that, I mean, I was this close from being there at that match as well. That was the first Austin away match that I missed ever, Michelle. And I got really lucky because my wife looked at me and was like, I would have been so mad at you if we were there right now. And I was like, I don't control the weather, wifey. Like, what? Come on.
Welcome to Texas. That's what Texas has, some crazy weather. But yeah, no, it was.
¿Va a ser así también este fin de semana?
Ojalá que no.
I don't think so. No, I think the only, and it's not the weather this time, but like I said, it's the time that it's going to be such an early game. You know, hopefully players are awake and have their mate or their coffee, whatever they drink. Right. But no, it's supposed to be 71 degrees, a little bit of wind. It is going to rain on Friday a little bit, but it should be solid for Saturday.
Órale, cuéntanos de las bajas que tiene Austin right now. Who does Josh Wolf not have available to him?
Yeah, so last game it was Leo, the center back, and then it was Owen Wolf. He was ankle injury, so which is why he didn't play. Those are the only two ones that we know. Tomorrow there is a press conference where typically, you know, we ask them, hey, any injuries this week? How was training? So we'll know more, and obviously MLS, you'll get that official injury report that, you know, now it's like a rule because I asked the comms team, you know, like, you know, will we get that before? And they're like, no, we give that to MLS a week, 24 hours before, and then they publish it. So they'll have the official one. It was different before, but you know, we journalists on the ground can ask Josh, and it's up to him if he wants to reveal those. But for now, those are the only two ones. You know, the lineup should be a similar lineup from last game. And the only reason I say that, even though Julio Cascante, who, you know, is one of the center backs for Austin FC, he was out on too many yellows, so he had a 1-game suspension. The only reason I say that he doesn't come back as a starter is because Wolf against Dallas, and I think they had won the game after that. He said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm hoping he keeps his word, and I'm hoping the back line looked really strong against Houston. Houston that was pressing and just trying to find where they could find a hole, or just, I mean, Stuber does a phenomenal job too. I think he saved them last game against Houston. So I think, you know, when it comes to all that, I think that's where we'll see the back line, a really strong one compared to, as you said, a Galaxy.
Anandita, cuéntanos sobre el once titular del Galaxy. Where is that starting 11 going to come from? We have some players on their way back. Let us know.
Yeah, well, and you can, because I know you were at the press conference today, Rob, and I just took a quick
virtually
listen to it right before. Yeah, virtually. But it sounds like Miki Amani's okay. So again, as Michelle said, we don't know what the official roster yet, but we should expect him to be back in that starting lineup. So he will slot in his natural right back position for Edwin Cerrillo, who we talked about last game, did admirably there, even though he was at fault for one or two of the goals. Martin Cáceres looks okay as well. I know he came off early last game, but Greg said I think that was more fatigue related. So it sounds like he's okay as well. Jalen Neal was, I know you asked him a question. The truth is looking like he's nearing a return. I don't know if he's going to be on the bench. We'll have to see, Robert, when
I'd be
approaches.
surprised. I'd be surprised if he's not at least on the bench. To be honest, when we asked him, how he was feeling, he said, I played 45 and I felt great. I could have played a full 90. I feel fantastic. I feel 100%. So he's ready. He's champing at the bit.
Well, we'd love that speed back, especially in this last 20 minutes. If it's a tight game and Drusy is breathing down our necks, we'll need that recovery speed, and we'll need his athleticism and height, especially on those, the set piece defending there, Robert. But other than that, I mean, it looks like it's going to be the same lineup with Yamane on that right back slot. And yeah, as we've talked about the last couple of games, this has been our strongest lineup. So looking forward to starting with that, and hopefully we can finish the game off early, but of course it's on the road, so it's going to be tough.
Well, we will get to predictions here in a moment, guys, but before we hit predictions, and chat, feel free to start dropping them. Go ahead and let us know what you're thinking in this match, but maybe you're going to want to hear what Ananda has to say here with some stats.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Michelle was talking about a few things about Austin and sort of their team, and I was kind of smiling in the back because, Michelle, if you didn't know, I'm like the XG merchant in this podcast. I'm like a huge stats nerd. So when I was listening to you talk about some of these, some of the things that Austin FC are good and deficient at, it kind of backed up what I saw in the stats. So I'm going to pull this up for you guys so you can help make those predictions, especially you guys in the chat. So, you look at, I'm going to look at the offense really quick, that top row. So goals per match, LA Galaxy is leading the league at 2.3 goals per match. Austin is sort of mid-table, 1.3. But you've seen this expected goals in the big chances, guys. I think this is where Austin has really struggled this year. They've struggled to create big sort of chances and clear-cut chances. They're bottom of the league, so XG at 7.6. Big chances, only 10 created this year in 9 matches. LA Galaxy, guys, we've talked about it. They're probably the number 1 rated offense this year, along with Inter Miami. We're top of XG at 18.2 and top of big chances at 33 big chances. So I think that disparity is going to be interesting. And again, we're 9 games in, 10 games in, so a pretty decent sample size in terms of what we're seeing as trends, but that's going to be one to monitor for sure coming to this game. And then the defense, guys, this is where we're kind of neighbors here because both teams are not great defensively. Goals conceded per match, Austin FC 1.4, LA Galaxy at 1.7. XG conceded, we are the bottom 2. Don't let the numbers fool you there. It says number 1 and 2 in the league. Well, number 1 and 2 in the league and goal and XG conceded is not a good thing, guys. So we are tied there at 17 XG conceded. And I even looked at the big chances we've conceded as well. LA Galaxy with 23, Austin with 22. LA Galaxy have conceded 3 penalties this year. Austin FC has conceded 2. So, very similar in that regard. And so this is going to be really interesting, Rob, to see how this plays out. LA Galaxy has a potent offense. Are we going to punish that Austin defense that has been deficient this year? And will those numbers hold true? But then the opposite side, be careful for Drusy, be careful for Rubio, Jussi Zardes, ex-Galaxy player, hitting us on the counter because, as you know, Robert, we've been deficient on that in the past few years. And of course, transition. Let's not forget our favorite friend this year, set piece defending. We're leading the league and giving up set piece defensive goals this year at 8. So, Michelle, that's something that, you might want to let Coach Wolf know about our deficiencies and our set pieces if you do want a good chance in this game. And one more thing, guys, that I wanted to look at, which is really, really interesting. I wanted to highlight these two. And Michelle, I'm glad you brought up your goalkeeper because we've got the two top keepers, performing keepers right now in the league. You see there, Brad Stuver leads the league in 43 saves. John McCarthy, these are stats, by the way, are from American Soccer Analysis. John McCarthy up there with 37 saves. And they're the top 2 keepers in goals prevented. I mean, these are per American Soccer Analysis, but they prevented about 3 to 4 goals this year if you look at across all the different stats platforms like OptaStats. And so you're right, Michelle, Brad Stuver has done great this year. But you know what? For us, John McCarthy has been a pleasant surprise because we didn't know what we were expecting out of John McCarthy this year. But so far, 9 games in, he's done a heck of a job and he saved a lot of games for us, almost single-handedly, Robert, as you can attest to.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, Brad Stuver is just the best. Sorry, Rob.
No, it's all good.
He's really good. One of the things that Josh Wolf was like, we need to stop conceding. So hopefully he found it's not that I don't like Escante. I mean, I even interviewed him on a 101s recently, and he, got called up for Costa Rica. But I do think that at times he's caught ball watching, and he did score. He does score for Austin FC. He's a tall guy. Headers is his thing. He's dangerous inside the box. From a corner kick, he just could heads it in. But I think with Hedges and Ikes, I think they can handle Galaxy, and hopefully, when it comes to O'Brien or Rubio or even Sardes or even Fodry, they can find hopefully the early goal. I think Austin, even though Q2 is very, very strong with its fan base, they always concede first at Q2. So that's something that hopefully they'll be able to, hopefully find the back of the net first, because it's going to be crucial against a really big opponent, which is the Galaxy.
Yeah. One thing that'll help Austin, I've kind of been looking at Sebas Driussi's return, and he's looked really good since he's returned. He has 2 goals since he's come back in that 2-2 draw against the Philly Union on March 16th. He's only played 6 games, so of course it's going to take him a while to get up to game speed. But after Austin's 4-3 win over San Jose, Coach Wolf had glowing words to say about him. He said that he's one of the best players in this league. Mm-hmm. It's clear that when we have him and he's healthy, the impact he makes within our group, both from an emotional standpoint and obviously the quality is quite clear. We all know his quality. I mean, he's a great player. But for you, Michelle, who are the players, or who is the player that's the X factor? This cat needs to step up for Austin to have a chance in this game.
Oh my gosh, if besides Driussi, because I think he's a no-brainer. Driussi makes this team. Right. Without him, this team kind of falls apart, because he does bring leadership. But the person that needs to step up, if he were to play, it would be Emiliano Rigoni. As a DP, he's coming off of a goal, and if he's going to play this game, he needs to really step it up and find the back of the net again. It would be fair to him. He says he works hard, but, he's a DP. He was a starter that unfortunately has gotten benched, and he's seen the bench, in the last 4 games, and Austin FC has actually won those games. So it's going to be tough. He would be the player, obviously, to watch. The most exciting player that everyone's kind of rooting for is CJ Fodry. As I said, he's only 20 years old. He's really fast. He's 6'2", so he can definitely beat some, he's hungry. You could tell he was fighting the ball, running back.
La camiseta.
Yeah. You see, and that's what I like to see about these young kids, who have earned their spot in the starting lineup. So hopefully we get to see from him. But yeah, no, I expect for this team to come out pressing, and I, it's a question that I want to ask Wolf, because he, in the beginning of the season, he said, we're going against, the Seattle, St. Louis, some of the best teams in the league, and at times I felt like he was respecting the opponent a little too much, especially at home, because he was kind of falling back. They were playing two back. They were waiting for them. They just kind of want to get them on the counterattack. We've seen a little bit more of a different tactic recently, but yeah, I mean, can you say the same thing that, we're playing against a big opponent, just Galaxy? I mean, Galaxy was in a really bad position last season. So I would say, they're playing against a strong opponent, but not an opponent that you should essentially respect too much, because, they're, you guys are doing great. But, if I was Wolf, I would go on and try to find the back of the net and just press and press and press, and then put in Johan Valencia, take out Dani Pereira, and kind of rotate, because Valencia is really good. He's a really good de contención atrás.
Yeah, like Ananda said, just whipping a couple crosses, get a couple corner kicks. You guys will get a goal there. I mean, it's just been all season long. But who, on the flip side, who is it on the Galaxy that you're like, man, I hope this guy doesn't go off. I hope this guy does not have a good game, because if he has a good game, then it's going to be a long night at Q2.
I mean, it's really hard to say, but I think the person that obviously is very nostalgic is Diego Fagundes. He already said it. I don't know if y'all had a press conference, but I recently heard him say the team that I want to score against is Austin. He has, I don't know if it's a bittersweet. I don't know if it's, I know this was very off the record, but when, he got essentially traded, he was very upset. He came up to me and he was like, "You got me in trouble because of this one interview question that I got him, because Austin exit out, Leagues Cup, they got eliminated, and so I got him in the tunnel, and he's like, "You got me in trouble because of that," and I was like, "No, I didn't," but he was really upset. So I don't know if it's bittersweet. I don't know if he has some type of anger. I know he loves the city and the fans, but so I'm scared for him to see some minutes and find a momentum. He did say he wanted his 70th goal to be at Austin at Q2, so hopefully he doesn't heat up. But I mean, when it comes to Galaxy, you guys are just like stacked up with talent, so it's like hopefully no one heats up.
Yeah, there's a couple of cats in that lineup that can heat up. We are starting to get some game predictions here. Jalapeno Gaming, aka Pinchy Jalapeno, says 1-0 Galaxy this weekend. Gary Cambron, Gary, thanks for hanging with us, says 2-0. Doesn't tell us who, though. I'm assuming the Galaxy. And Tony Crespo says 3-1 Galaxy win.
There it is.
Fagundes will score a goal. I know his settling here in Los Angeles was a little tough for him. We've spoken about it on this pod. He spoke about it in interviews, how he was essentially living out of a hotel, then an Airbnb. He didn't have his dogs with him. He didn't have his family with him. He wasn't settled and comfortable. You saw it at moments last year where he didn't look like the player at the end of the season that we all knew that he was. And this year he just looks phenomenal. And we will hit him up to come play some pickup for sure, because Ananda and I play every Saturday, actually. But I have him on my team, by the way, Ananda, if we do get him out.
Let them know I gave you the scoop.
Hey, thank you. I will like, hey, Dieguito, Michelle dice que vas a venir a jugar con nosotros. Ahora ya te quedaste comprometido. So,
Exactly.
I mean, you're right. There's a bunch of guys on this team that can heat up. I mean, Dayon obviously is in the golden one of the Golden Boot leaders. We spoke about John McCarthy, who is helping this team literally by saving 3 or 4 goals a game. Joseph Paintsill, enough said about him. I mean, he's been a phenomenal signing. Tommy Bogert claims that he was the signing of the window. So I would tend to agree. And then tienes el Principito, el Ricky Puig, que, I mean, if he's on, and he can just tear apart a team, right? So, but
Maestro.
Yeah, Ananda, for you, who is it, man? Who's got to be on for the Galaxy?
I'm going to give you an unexpected name, Robert, and it was our last defending the badge winner. That was El Mate Man, one of the Mate Men, Gaston Brugman. You know why? Because like I said, Drusy is their biggest weapon. And where does Drusy play? He plays in the number 10. Actually, he operates in the left half space, right? So in those transition moments is Gaston. We need Gaston to be there to help out his teammates in case they get in trouble and they get outnumbered in those situations. We saw a couple of those moments last week, Robert, against the Quakes, where Gaston, especially when we were down to 10 men, he was there. He made the right tackle, made the right read. So Gaston to me, is going to be a really, really key player, not only on the defensive, but starting our transition, Robert, starting our breaks when we win the ball back. He has that great forward pass. And I could just see JP and Gabriel Peck just hungry to get that ball over the top, where Austin's defense has been leaky this year. So Gaston Brugman for me, man. And like I said, I think he's going to be an underrated sort of key cog in the LA Galaxy wheel this weekend.
We do have Ramizes with his game prediction 4-2. Says there will be goals by Paintsill, Decky, Fagundes, and Gaston Brugman, who you were just speaking about. I mean, Gaston's been vital. I mean, the Galaxy missed him terribly last year when he got injured. And, this year that he's back, we're seeing the fruits of those labors. We're seeing just how important he is. Of course, we've mentioned a bunch of times already, the Galaxy is in first place, but for some reason, MLS Power Rankings has not seen fit to reward them with a number 1 or even a number 2 or even a number 3. They've given them the 4th place spot, Ananda. causing outrage amongst Galaxy fans on that social media. Michelle said, the social media, you can't trust it. The Galaxy fans are true to form on social media,
yeah.
Michelle. They're savage. They will come get you, and I'm afraid for whoever does these rankings because Galaxy fans are gonna come at some point. But Austin is ranked 24th at the moment. And then Ananda has some betting odds for you guys because we are heading towards that game prediction. And Michelle, I know that one of your co-hosts on the podcast you're on says that he hates predictions because it's just very random, right? Well, fortunately, I have right next to me, Ananda Kirana, who throws us those game stats that gives us at least a fighting chance of knowing numbers and knowing what these teams do based on data. But before we get there, Ananda, give us those betting odds. Brought to you by Las Vegas. Bet responsibly, y'all.
Yeah, please bet responsibly. So, guys, betting odds plus 180 for Austin FC, who are at home. That's a 36% chance. LA Galaxy plus 130, 43%. Guys, the bookies are saying that even away from home, the LA Galaxy are going to get a win at Q2 Stadium. Really interesting there. And a draw at plus 275. So that's about a 26% chance. So it's really interesting because, Austin has picked up form recently, but the bookies, at least, guys, are giving the Galaxy the edge here, which I haven't seen this all season. That's really interesting.
Yeah, as they should. I mean, I said Austin is very up and down, up and down. I am surprised that they have won more games in the last few handful. Yeah. But yeah, I think they draw. I'll say a draw. I'll say 1-1.
Oh, there you go. Getting into it.
Okay, Michelle's calling a 1-1. I like it. Anadita te toca.
Oh, man. Well, let's see. So the weather is going to be okay. These two teams are horrible defensively. So it's going to be a high-scoring game, I think. I'm going to call a 3-2 thriller for the Galaxy. I think it's going to go back and forth. I don't know why, Robert. I just feel like I think what Greg said in the presser today is going to come to fruition again, where game management, we've talked about it all year. We're going to get like sort of goal hungry, but too goal hungry, and we're going to leave ourselves exposed, right? And of course, we're going to give ourselves a set piece goal because this is the 2024 version of the LA Galaxy. So I'm going to call 3-2, barn burner, amazing game, but hopefully we leave there happy, Robert, with the 3-2 Galaxy win.
Yeah. I'm kind of on the same lines where I know there's going to be goals in this one because both teams aren't great defensively, so they're going to give up goals. But the Galaxy is just a little bit better at scoring them. I mean, creates more chances and has been more clinical. Yeah. So that tells me that there's going to be goals and that's going to be a Galaxy win, at least, thanks to the data. And I'm going to agree with Ramizes. I'm calling a 4-2. I think that would be the best case scenario for us that are going to be there because, we're going to go catch the Galaxy play, man. And we're going to be on the road. And so we want to see goals, but also we want to see a Galaxy win. So I'm calling a 4-2, which means that, guys, I'm calling a victory. Ananda's calling a victory for the Galaxy, and Michelle's calling a 1-1 tie, which would give each team a point, obviously. And I don't know. At that point, does it feel like a loss, kind of, Ananda? Does it feel like a lost opportunity for Greg to get his three-peat?
Yeah, I think it would be 2 points dropped given where they are. I know the form's kind of picked up, but I think they are a beatable team on the road, at least as things stand. And I think these are important points to get early in the season. Robert, we need to bank as many points as we can early in the season because, Leagues Cup and a tight schedule and everything, these schedules, the matches are going to stack up really quickly. And if we get one or two injuries, things are not looking good. So let's bank as many of these points as we can early, and we've got to take advantage of the high that we're on right now as Galaxy fans.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Leagues Cup is going to be a big wrench in the season, especially if the Galaxy are, with some good momentum, right? It's a month off, from the from the league. But I am happy that Michelle's going to have an opportunity to see La Máquina. And you know what? Good luck to them in the tournament. I was going to ask you if you had a dog in the fight in the Leagues Cup, but now I know who your dog in the fight is.
But Austin plays against Rayados and Pumas, so I don't think Austin's going to do that great in Leagues Cup again. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be another consecutive elimination.
Yeah, I think the Galaxy have to kind of take this tournament seriously. I mean, if they're claiming to be the team that's on the rebound or is quote unquote back, then they have to do well in this tournament, and they have to do well against the Mexican clubs that they play against. I mean, last year they played León, and la diferencia en calidad fue evidente. They just got played off the pitch. You know,
what are your thoughts? And I'll ask both of you guys with who is MLS as good as Liga MX, or is there still room for improvement?
Oh, most definitely. I think both leagues are kind of feeding off of each other right now. It's a symbiotic relationship, born out of necessity. I know that the Mexican teams it's not even a perception. I think that they're just better at this point because of the way they're constructed, the financials that come into play and stuff like that. But also they have that history, they have that passionate fan base, and you know, Mexican soccer, Liga MX, does fantastic in the ratings here. Todavía le falta MLS, but it's coming. I mean, Columbus did really well. I don't know how it ended, but when I saw it was 1-0 to Columbus in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. But if it's not, like I said, le falta, if it's not there yet, it will be soon. And I think that Liga MX, one of the reasons that they're partnering with stuff like the Leagues Cup is because they recognize that MLS is going to explode at one point, and they're like, hey, we want to be a part of that too. So
for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. And especially with like the rule changes, like the roster rule changes recently, opening up an extra U22 initiative, those things I think will help bring in players like a Gabriel Peck, for example, or an exciting young player to this league. And I think we need more of that to compete with the talent that they're farming at Liga MX.
Yeah, I think that's my only thing. You have like LAFC that's, getting all these really nice player signings, and it would just be nice to see that across the board. I think so. The talent that's developed here too in the States, I think that's really important. And so it's barely in the beginning stages. I think they're still like in 10 years, maybe. I still say it's like a decade to catch up.
I saw something the other day, Michelle, que me interesó mucho y me alegró mucho. As you know, San Diego will have a team in the league next year. Is it next year or is it the year after that? 2025, right? Yeah, 2025. Yeah, so they'll have a team in the league next year. But beyond that, they just approved the league's first live-in academy for grades 6th through 12th, which means that they're taking a page out of academies the world over. Creo que eso es lo que nos faltaba, tener ese ambiente where, yes, they are getting their studies, but in the off time, they're learning philosophy of football, they're learning technique, they're just immersed, So San Diego doing it big. I'd love to see the Galaxy Academy at some point do the same thing. I'll go teach journalism there or English, one of the two. But yeah, man, I love that question because it's interesting to see where the two leagues will end up maybe like in 10 years time, like if we're putting that 10-year marker on it, we'll see where MLS is. I mean, Don Garber's ambition is clear. He wants to be one of the top 5 leagues in the world. Right now, the financials are just not letting it happen. I mean, you mentioned LAFC. I mean, they weren't able to keep a player like Arango because of financials, and he's killing it in Real Salt Lake right now.
Y mira, hay que aprovechar esta situación porque ya vamos a estar el Copa América, estaremos, o sea, estará el Copa Mundial. I mean, we've got to take advantage of this, guys. And I think with that, organically both leagues will mature and take advantage of that situation as well. As you said many times, Rob.
Yeah. I think Arango is interesting because I have a cousin that works for Pachuca, and he was just saying like that there's just like levels and the competitiveness, and he was competing against some really, really young, really talented players. So I just think that there's still levels to everything, which is why he's like, a player that will do good at any club. I mean, he probably would have done really great here with Austin. But you just have those. And one last question for me, just out of curiosity.
Sure.
Do fans miss Chicharito?
I would say
Wow,
no.
good question. Yeah. No.
I haven't heard Chicharito mentioned at all. And
Yeah.
no, I mean I loved speaking to him. He was also we have someone in chat. I won't mention who. We have someone in chat that says a big resounding no. Michelle, that's my wife.
Well, the only thing I'll say to that, Robert, is I feel like the people that are closest to the team. So, for example, like Galaxy Mom, for example, right, and that's Jalen Neal's mother. But from all I've heard, in terms of the people that were close to him in the team, he's missed in terms of his impact on the community. And I think I've heard that consistently throughout the board. I don't know about you, Robert. So, from a fan's perspective, I think Robert's right. Probably no. I think we're ready to move on to this next version of the LA Galaxy. But I think as a person, as a leader, as sort of who he is as a character, I think people do miss him and his impact on this community.
No, bien buena onda el man. Cuando hablábamos con él, siempre nos decía como de cuidar tu salud mental. He was super open, always in talking about things. You can tell that he has an interesting way of seeing life. I mean, he loved off the beaten path questions that weren't really about the game itself, but more like, I remember one time, I believe it was Judge Sophia, not a reporter here, Michelle, named Sophie Nicola, who asked him, like after a victory, like, did you have fun? And then he went off on this really great kind of, not even a tangent, because tangents are kind of like have that negative connotation, but he kind of gave us this answer which let us know, like, hey, this is a game, and like, it's supposed to be fun. It's like we started playing this game when we were kids, and it was interesting to hear that from him. So I miss him and his positive influence, like Ananda said. But I mean, he didn't play
on the
pitch
for the
team last year. Yeah, he didn't play for the team last year. So it's duro extrañar lo que no estuvo ahí.
Pero es lo que hay.
I think I was listening to a podcast with him when he was, a free agent and didn't really know where he was going to land. And he said that he had really an unfortunate luck here at MLS, especially with obviously Galaxy, because he was injured or it was during COVID. And so it was just a very a place where I guess he couldn't find his momentum. And he is an interesting guy because, he's following Liga MX y la Selección Mexicana, very interesting because he was, that playboy, got girls, but he was always very nice and respectful. So it is interesting watching him involved as a person and player. But yeah, I mean, good. Well, I guess we'll see each other on Saturday.
Sí. Y ahora es presidente de Kings League.
I know.
Mira.
Exactly. Well, una pregunta para ti, Michelle.
Sure.
Ya has hablado un poco del Chicharo. I personally found it kind of dirty the way La Selección did him, right? Especially he had moments where he was playing really well and he could have very easily been called back. Danos tu opinión, ¿por qué no la llamaban? Y si debería haber sido llamado otra vez a la Selección Mexicana.
Yeah, I think I put out a tweet when Mexico was playing USA here in Dallas not too long ago. And I think I said something about I want the Mexican Federation to crumble because I feel that. I feel that the Mexican Federation is the reason that the national team is the way that they are, that they can't win against United States, that they just have so much talent, when it comes to these players, and they don't play them. I just think it's a lot of dirt. I think that he was done dirty because they feel like it. I think it's so corrupt. And it's unfortunate to see that in the sport that you love, especially me having that sentimental and emotional connection because I am Mexican. I think also there's a reason why a lot of reporters from Univision and TUDN left Mexico, left all that, and now they're here at MLS. So I know I saw recently a tweet with Rodolfo Landeros, and he said something about that and why he left. He didn't really say those words, but within those tweets, you can read between the lines. So I think that's why. I think that's why there's a lot of, a lot of behind the scenes that maybe fans, if they were to find out, they would be really enraged. And when they hired Tata Martino, it's not to blame him, but I do think that there was a lot of shadiness happening because at the end of the day, it's up to the players to make the goals. Tata, you can't do that, right? But it was just a lot of shady business. And I felt like that, not just with this last World Cup. I felt like that before even. So it's just been shady. So those are my 2 cents and what I feel and how I feel why they did them dirty.
Yeah, pues ya sabemos que algunos jugadores mexicanos, a couple of Mexican national team stars did call out Tata Martino for feeling like maybe he kind of sold them out in that World Cup game against Argentina. It's interesting to see those comments come from these players and how they weren't really jiving with his style.
Right.
And that they could have, again, Chicharito was in a good moment a couple of times. He could have helped this national team. And I for as much as I'm like, okay, I'm glad that he's not on the Galaxy roster. Like when that man was on, he was on, and there were moments where he deserved that call up, and he didn't get it, and that always broke my heart for him because you could tell he wanted it so bad.
Right.
So yeah, no, bummed for him. Do you have a favorite national team star of all time?
I love Andres Guardado. He was my first crush as a teenager. So
le dicen también a él el Principito, ¿no?
Principito. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm so happy that he's back in Mexico, and I know he's probably not the same. And he was one of those few players that essentially kind of kept his distance from all that drama. Went to Spain, had his family play soccer, and was happy at Betis for a really long time, and had a really great career with them. But yeah, I mean,
great hair too.
Oh my gosh, great hair. You're telling me. But yeah, that's really it. And then Ochoa.
Yeah, Memo's legend, man. Pues podríamos estar aquí. We could probably be here for all night, but I know it's even later there than it is here. So we are going to sign off here in a moment. LA Galaxy fans, Acuna Galaxians. But before we do, Michelle, please remind us where we can catch your coverage, where we can listen to you. And, before I turn it over to you, just want to say thank you so much for, hanging with us. Again, I know it's late, but we had a great time with you. And thank you for bringing us everything we need to know about Austin.
Yeah, you're welcome. Of course, it's not a problem. I know it's about to be one, so all good. Thank you for bringing the stats and the numbers, and just inviting me on. But you can find me at Michelle_S_TV. If you just want to read my tweets about Austin FC, they're usually just soccer related. Instagram too, Facebook as well. If you're into Facebook still, I still have a really good following there. And then, I have Rincon Verde, which I'm going to revamp and start up again. So if I don't have anything tomorrow or the following day, I will have stuff to put out. But yeah, I mean, that's really about it. Thanks for the support. And, I will see you guys. And if I don't see you, enjoy Q2. Be safe. But enjoy the city. It's a beautiful city.
Thanks so much. We appreciate it. And hopefully we run into you. We get to share a drink while we're playing SADA. Pero nos vemos allá en Austin.
I'll see you here. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias a ti.
Well, Lacuna Galaxians, after Austin, the Galaxy remains on the road. They will face the Seattle Sounders at Lumen Field on Sunday, Cinco de Mayo, El Gran Cinco de Mayo, Battle of Puebla at 3:30, except this will be the Battle of Seattle at 3:30 p.m. on Cinco de Mayo. We'll have a couple of special guests for that one. We'll go ahead and announce that soon. But of course, that one drops on Thursday, May 2nd at 9 p.m. And of course, remember to go ahead and subscribe to this podcast at youtube.com/@Lacuna Galaxiana. We're fast approaching that 100th show. Thank you so much for getting us there. We'll have that 100th show dropping on May 6th, Monday, May 6th at 9 p.m. We hope to bring you some goodness on that night. So thank you so much. We appreciate you guys hanging with us for another episode of Lacuna Galaxiana. Ananda, anything to add before we sign off?
I'm gonna leave the last word to executive producer Herb. Thank you, Herb, for showing up to the chat again. He said late to the show. Wish you a safe trip. Officially the unofficial PM of likes. Having said that, viewers, listeners, hit the like and subscribe button, and I'm gonna leave you chat with that.
Thank you, executive producer Herb. We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone in chat. It's been a lovely time with Michelle, and we hope to see you in Austin. SADA, y'all. One thing left to say. Cheese.